thing.
Welcome to Expat Equation, the podcast where we explore the human side of working abroad.
And we're your hosts. I'm Julian Johns.
And I'm Bianca Cenan. We're both expats and inclusion professionals, and through our work at Candidate Aid and Culture Flow, we've helped hundreds of internationals navigate global careers.
And in each episode, we speak with internationals and the companies who hire them to uncover the real stories, struggles, and strategies behind building a life and career across borders. Today's guest is Paul Harrison. We hear about his journey moving abroad, what it taught them about culture and identity, and how it shaped their career.
Whether you're an international professional or someone working in HR, this episode is for you.
And if you do enjoy this episode, please follow us wherever you get your podcasts and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Paul, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me here. So I work for a company called Net Bureau, which is one of Europe's fastest growing companies over the last 10 years. I'm responsible for expanding the business into the UK. I work at Net Bureau as a partner manager, and I have a background in tech and media. I've been hired to expand the presence in the UK and drive growth in the UK market. We support customers such as Telenor, Vattenfall, finding new customers online through different channels. We do search marketing, social campaigns in order to drive customer acquisition and growth for very, very large, but also smaller customers as well. I've been in Norway for now 12 years.
So you've been here for 12 years. Could you let us know what inspired you to move abroad?
Yes, sure. Well, a bit like, I know you're the same. You know, my parents have quite international backgrounds as well, having lived abroad. So I guess that's part of my makeup and my experience. I'm the classic love immigrant. I met a Norwegian girl 23 years ago, and we decided to make a move from London to Oslo, 12 years ago.
What was the biggest cultural shift that you experienced when you first moved here?
In many ways, it's starting afresh. So, you know, the Norwegian culture takes a little bit of time to warm up to and understand the norms in the workplace. You know, it can be quite a quiet workplace. People being very focused, very efficient workplace as well, where people come in, get the job done, go home at a reasonable time to pick up their kids. So there is this adjustment at a practical level from the working hours are quite different, but also the environment, the office environment is also quite a calm, quiet type environment.
I'm very curious to learn more about how did you manage to adjust to this working culture, because I understand it's very different from UK.
Yeah, it can be. I guess at the start, I had a little bit of outsider or imposter syndrome. It does take time to adjust and to let your personality shine through. I think you have to give yourself some time to let that happen. It's okay if it doesn't happen in the first week. Be patient and let your personality, come out.
That's a really interesting way of describing it. And a lot of people struggle with not just the workplace norms, but also there's a broader cultural idea of these bubbles that exist everywhere. So how did you build your social bubbles?
So I saw like-minded colleagues who also had international backgrounds. So it can quickly become a little bit siloed or slightly cliquey, where you've got the colleagues that you seek are the ones who are also speaking English or who are similarly from other countries. And there you might see it at the canteen during the lunchtime, and the Norwegians all sit together and will converse in Norwegian, and especially you sort of tend to seek out the English speakers within an organization. So I have seen that. And it is noticeable when you sort of call it out and you see that happens.
So Paul, what was your experience in terms of job searching in a different country? Were you already in Norway when you started? Or if not, can you tell us a bit what are the steps you took?
Yeah, I was out of Norway. I was in the UK, and it was a lot of months working to find the right fit and understand which companies would be suitable for me. So I gave myself, I think, between 9 months. I think my wife was helping me out during that time as well. she obviously knew the Norwegian market and the Norwegian companies, so it was helpful to have a little bit of guidance on where to focus. But certainly lots of applications, probably, as much as 50 applications, I would say.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Okay. And you started the application process when you were in UK or after you moved to Norway?
Yeah, I started that in the UK.
Regarding workplace culture, how did you manage to adjust? We were discussing a bit in the break about the difference between tea lovers in the UK and coffee lovers in Norway. How is that working for you?
It's the small talk. I often refer to banter, which is the small sort of jokey type environment. That's quite different and it's hard to replicate from the UK. It's a very English thing. But of course, I think there's a lot of similarities between Norway and the UK.
Did you feel that the language was a barrier for you and kind of held you back, at least in the beginning?
Most day-to-day tasks would be in English and with the team. It's mainly, I would say, in the more social settings at lunchtime and breaks and things like that, where the Norwegian comes more in at those times. So at certain times of the day, but doing the actual job and communicating with people on email and things like that, if it's in English, then it's not so much of a barrier.
I am very curious to learn more about your life outside of work. What is your favorite local tradition here? Do you have one?
The local tradition, that Norway is full of fantastic traditions. One of my favorite traditions that happens twice a year is the famous dugnad, which is where the community come together, the neighborhood come together for the common goal of cleaning the area, making the area nicer to live in as well. That's a fantastic Norwegian tradition. So I sort of very much part of that, and I feel like other countries could learn from that culture. It really elevates and brings people out, which is a fantastic tradition here in Norway.
Yeah. Before we go into a quick fire round, I do have one other question I'd like to ask as part of your work experience, which is there something different that the HR team or HR managers could have done to help you adapt to Norwegian working culture better?
Generally, having worked in both Norwegian and international companies, I think Norwegian companies could improve the onboarding with more standard operating procedures, more introductions to different parts of the business. I think it's assumed that you come in and that you find your feet yourself, so you are somewhat left to discover what is this job, what is this company about. You have to find that out for yourself. So I think that there could be a bridge there where you have a little bit more guidance on who the most, who the key people are in an organization and the processes and the way things are done, rather than sort of trial and error.
I'm curious how your colleagues contributed to your onboarding, because, okay, HR can have maybe a better onboarding process, but did you feel that your colleagues were there for you and you could ask them, even if you didn't get that formal support, at least you get more informal and more included into the group?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that the colleagues, especially other new starters, kind of form cohorts and really support one another, because they are, of course, at the same stage in that company and able to sort of answer and help each other out with navigating during the early days. So yeah, I think there's an extra importance around other new starters, and quite a difference versus people that have been in a company 9-10 years, very mature and well established within an organization. So yeah, finding that tribe, finding those other new starters has been really helpful.
I think we can move on with a quick fire round.
3 to 5 quick fire questions. What's the best thing about working abroad? It's a quick fire, remember.
I would say being a big fish in a small pond.
What's the most awkward cultural moment you experienced so far? It can be at work or outside of work.
Trying to get people to convert from coffee to tea.
Great answer. Remote or office? Or hybrid?
Hybrid.
There we go.
My last question was related to coffee or tea, but it's quite clearly that you prefer the tea. But I'm curious, how did your colleagues took that? Did you manage to convert some of the coffee lovers into tea lovers, or not yet?
Well, there's lots of types of tea. So for me, it's English breakfast tea every time. and the ones that drink fruity teas and spicy teas. I've given up.
Tea.
I've given up. I can't convert them.
What advice would you give to someone? What advice would you give to someone just starting out on their expat journey?
I would say go all in
Mm.
as a mindset. So you've got to commit fully and show that commitment from day one. It shouldn't stop you from being considered if you're the right person for that role.
I'm curious, what does belonging mean to you now? And if this changed over time because you moved here, or it's more or less same feeling as you had in the beginning?
I think belonging is linked to stability, and that could be both an organization where you feel like there's stable leadership, people that have been in the organization for a number of years and are not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a rock solid environment in which you can then put down some roots and you feel like you're in the right place for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that for me, stability is belonging.
How can companies do better, not just with the onboarding phase, which you mentioned earlier, but when it comes to hiring international talent here in Norway? What do you think they could do to improve, for example, broadening the talent pool that they look to select candidates from?
I think it's important to, like I say, consider people that are maybe not yet in the country, as well as those that are in the country. I would look at people that are committed to being in Norway. And there's two types of people that tend to come to Norway, those that are here for the long term and those that are more transient. So I think there's that extra layer of consideration when you're thinking about an international hire.
How do you think Norwegian companies should deal with that in the hiring process?
There are many factors why someone would move or decide to leave, so it's impossible to be 100% sure that that person will stay. But I think you're hiring for the mindset and the person's perspective. And I've always found that the hiring manager who is open-minded and is positively discriminating pro having some diversity in the workplace and having an international hire, that's worked well versus steering away from international hires.
Yeah. Great. So that was Paul sharing their story of building a career and life across borders.
We hope his experience reminded you that you are not alone and that navigating life abroad is as much about community as it is about courage.
So if you're an international professional looking for support, or a company wanting to improve how you hire and support global talent,
you'll find links to Candidate Aid and Culture Flow in the show notes.
And don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone working in HR or living the international experience.
This is the Expat Equation, powered by Candidate Aid and Culture Flow.
Okay.